Now that you have some experience working with 360 images in Photoshop, let's look at how to add text to a 360 image. Now, text and graphics add context to the viewer as they're exploring your 360 environment. Now, in this image, we're once again on a sailboat. Let's add some simple labels to various parts of the boat that the learners will need to know before we head down to the docks. Now, start by converting the layer to a 360 panorama by going up to the 3D menu, down to spherical panorama, and selecting New Panorama Layer from Selected Layers. Then pan around your image until you're looking in approximately this orientation. Then grab your Type tool and select a font. I'm going to use the Gill Sans font and set the face to bold. Now I want this type to be clearly visible, so I'll set the size to the largest setting, which for this font is 72 points. Then click onto the image and type the letter A. Now, one of the challenges that you'll face when working with 360 images is scaling your type to look like it fits into the scene, and that can be a little bit challenging. 72 points is pretty large, but it's not very visible in this image. So open your character palette by going up to your window menu and selecting character if it's not already available to you. And the field for changing the font size is right here. This drop-down menu shows the exact same listings that we have in our options bar. Now, you could type in a value here, but that would require a lot of trial and error to find the right setting. Now, a better way to work is to first make sure that your text is selected, and I'll do that by double-clicking on the T icon for that layer, and then move your mouse over the field's icon, and your cursor will turn into a hand with a double-headed arrow. Then click and drag to the right to increase the value until you find something that looks like it'll fit. I found a value of about 250 looks pretty good. Now, with the type layer still selected, you can switch to your Move tool and then reposition your text in the scene. Now that you see your text in context, if you want to recompose your view, click on the image layer and make your adjustments. Then back to your type layer and so forth. Now that's all looking pretty good. Now we need to merge this type layer onto the flat equirectangular image. And if you remember in the last movie, I said changes will always take place on the last layer that was selected. Well, we didn't create a layer, so let's go do that now. Double click on the spherical map, and then let's add a new layer. And double click on the layer name, and we'll call this Labels. Then to keep from mousing around, press Command or Control S to save this file, and then Command or Control W to close the tab. Now, if you want to add any layer effects or make any other changes to your text, now's the time to do that. Make sure you have your text layer selected, and then I think if we add that outer glow layer style that we added in an earlier movie, but dial up the size to about 20. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It's time to lock the text onto our sphere. With your text layer selected, we need to merge this layer by going up to the Layer menu and selecting Merge Down or pressing Command or Control E. Now, when you do this, the type will be rasterized and no longer be editable. The type layer also disappears, and if you go back into the flat view and toggle the visibility for the labels on and off, you can see that our type has been rendered onto that layer. Let's once again save and close, and now when you pan around the sphere, the text stays locked in place. Practice adding additional text layers and locking them in on your own.